Hey, Mountain Murders fans, this is Heather.
And this is Dylan. How are you doing tonight?
I'm so glad that you didn't open with your weird British voice.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like you've been watching Seinfeld or something.
It's my tummy. Hello!
Every time that he is supposed to say hello, he's just like, hello! I don't know.
Yeah, but how are you doing tonight?
Well, I'm okay if you can get your shit together so we can do this podcast.
Let's do it. This is the one. This is the one. It feels good.
How many takes have we tried with this?
Nice and loose.
I'm really glad this is for our patrons.
Right.
One, because they're probably a little bit more forgiving than like a broader audience. I mean, they do so graciously give us money every month to keep the podcast going.
Yeah, and that's why I'm going to try to extra hard to not suck at this one for them, because they deserve a good one.
Well, this is one that you're actually going to lead, right, Dylan?
Yeah, I'm going to try to.
I'm excited. So what are we going to be talking about tonight? This is like a companion to our episode about the Kentucky vampire cult.
Right, about the whole kind of goth culture and, the crazy satanic panic that gripped the nation for generations.
Right, and we called that show Kentucky Vampire Cult, and it really wasn't because it's like a vampire cult, but more like a poking fun at the whole thought that these, people were trying to play these kids off like, oh,
Satanist,
they were just horrible.
active killers.
Yeah, like something out of a fucking
the Dark
horror
Lord.
movie.
Yeah.
We were just kind of goofing around and called it that. But I can't talk. We really wanted to get into this discussion, though, about the Satanic Panic. We're both children of the 80s.
Yes, we are.
So we grew up during the time that this was in the news.
Yeah, I'll never forget. I remember it. I remember it being on the nightly news, and Peter Jennings and Tom Brokaw. Every time you saw their face, they were talking about it. We used to get the news like that in the old days.
Yeah,
a couple times a day, or maybe a newspaper, and it was everywhere. Everybody was talking about it.
Okay, so lead us astray with the Satanic Panic, Dylan.
Okay, so I'm going to take it even further back of kind of the origins of the idea of these Satanists or satanic cults that sexually abuse children is basically the meat of it. And so in 1972, there was a book published titled The Satan Seller by Mike Warnke. And for decades after that, because of this book, he was considered the authority on Satanism by anyone who wrote about it.
Well, I was really curious about this guy because I was like, what exactly makes him an expert on Satanism? And delving into this guy's history, not only is he supposedly an expert on, Satan and satanic worship and whatever, he's a Christian comedian.
Uh-oh.
Because who knew that there was such a thing? But I was looking into this guy, and so he was born in 1946. When he was 5 years old, his family moved to Tennessee. His father opened up a truck stop. In 1955, his mother was killed in a car accident, and then a few years later, his dad died, which left him an orphan. And so after his father's death, he went to live with two aunts in Sparta, Tennessee. From there, he went to his father's half-sister and her husband to San Bernardino, California. It was during this time that he says he was introduced to Satanism. He started at San Bernardino Valley College, and that is where the Dark Lord enveloped him.
Oh no, he made a deal with the devil?
I guess. Then he dropped out of school. He went into the Navy. He was a hospital corpsman.
Okay.
In the Navy, and he went to Vietnam for 6 months. So according to the book that you're talking about, The Satan Seller, he talks about converting to Christianity when he was in Navy boot camp.
Okay.
But there's a high school friend, Charlotte Tweeton, a girl that, he'd kind of grown up with, that recalls him being a Christian in high school.
So he was already a Christian.
Yeah, so she's like, this is BS. Well, it was later disproven that this guy's full of shit, but go on.
Yeah, so that guy sounded like he had a lot of misfortune in his life, parents and all that, being an orphan.
Right.
And it's a good thing he turned to the Lord. But so in the 80s and 90s, as I said, he was considered the authority. So I would like to read that book,
Yeah.
I would like to just see what kind of angle he's taken on that.
Well, I'll tell you, some of the book, he talks about his experience being a Satanist, how he was involved in sex orgies.
I like how your voice almost does this when you... Oh.
I know. Alcoholism, drug dealing, how he rose through the ranks of Satanism to become like this high priest. how he presided over satanic rituals, black spells, summoning demons, ritual sex, ritual kidnapping and rape, and that he took basically had an attempt on his life with a heroin overdose. And then he went to Vietnam, and he found Jesus and became this, evangelist, or how do you say that word? Evangelist?
Evangelist?
That's it.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it an evangelical Christian?
Right. Evangelist, I guess, whatever that term is. Then he goes on to talk about how he went back to California to live a happy life, and the book became a bestseller.
Okay, I'm just going to guess he wrote this crazy-ass story that people weren't used to seeing stuff like that, and they couldn't believe what they was reading, and he was claiming it was true.
Yeah.
And that's how that book sold. And so that's kind of, shaky, right? That's shaky evidence and everything for this guy to be considered the authority on this topic. Well, for law enforcement, everything.
Yeah, it was in 1985 that he appeared on the ABC show 2020, a news report about
Satanism. I saw that. I didn't watch it, but yeah.
And I guess the show was called The Devil Worshippers. And he was on there. He included in a number of segments. He discussed the implements, the clothing used in ceremonies. He had some scar that he said was where he had repeatedly cut so that blood could be used in satanic rituals and ceremonies. He talks about what drew him to Satanism.
Oh, we gotta watch that.
So from there on, he kind of
He's making money off of it.
Yeah, he was totally exploiting.
That's exactly what he was doing.
Gullible nature of people who buy into this crap.
Yeah, so the whole time, 80s, 90s, things are the media just keeps it going. Every little story. If it's some kids who happen to have black t-shirts on and did something, they're more Satanists, they really fanned the flames on this one. And for a long time. And then along the way, a man named John Todd spoke at churches, a lot of churches, about witches, druids, and the Illuminati. Further flaming or fanning the flames of this hysteria and all these rumors. And then, I heard these stories and such read this book. It's just it's crazy when a group of people get to this point.
Well, I want to know where all of these people are, not the religious nuts, but
all the occultists, the covens, and
the wizards and the Wiccans and the warlocks, and I
want to go hang out with them.
Ghosts and goblins and druids and the Illuminati. I want to know how I can sign up because it actually sounds pretty cool.
I didn't know that the Illuminati hung out with druids, but now that I do know that, I want to hang out with both of them.
Well, since this is a podcast and it could potentially go anywhere, I would just like to say, if you're listening in and you're part of the Illuminati, call me. Okay.
Oh my God, that was so smart because they're real.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. John Todd's. So first we had Mike Warnke in his bullshit made up book in 1972. And now John Todd along the way, just further... just causing more and more panic and stories with people about going to all these churches, and I'd say probably heavily in the South. I'm guessing on that, just because.
So he would just go to churches as a guest speaker.
Yeah.
And do
just his little
sort of lecture.
His lecture about
how to sniff out the devil worshippers.
Lectures
in town.
About literally witches, druids, and the Illuminati. I can only imagine.
Sounds pretty rock and roll and gnarly.
Well, I'm going to guarantee it's like these hip churches now where, they get everybody all excited with a kind of rock sounding song.
Yeah.
I bet these people came out of church. It wasn't the usual, same old little small town preacher. They just heard this lurid tale of just all these crazy things. Could you imagine? I bet everybody talked about it for weeks after this guy came through and gave his little thing at the church.
Yeah. I'm just imagining he probably went to these fire and brimstone churches.
Paid.
Already.
I bet he was paid $50 or whatever here. Yep.
Their favorite book is Revelations, and they love to tell you how you're going to burn in hell.
Old school.
So, like the kind of church that I grew up in.
And
very
just
Southern
hardline Baptist.
Right.
And, Pentecostal, all that stuff, happened right around us in this Bible Belt. We're right in the... We said the other day that there's a lot of churches around here, right?
Oh, yeah.
You go in small communities and you'll see 7 churches clustered right there in a 5-mile area.
It's very true.
But anyway, so you got John Todd just fanning the flames. And then in 1980, another book titled Michelle Remembers, Tale of Her Abuse by Satanic Ritual Abusers.
I remember, now I've never read this book, but I do remember in the 80s being a child and hearing about this book. And I think even seeing maybe the author or Michelle like on talk shows.
Right.
You know, because when I was a kid, I'll be honest, I really loved to watch like Geraldo and Sally Jesse and Donahue.
That was only drama, you know, or anything like that.
Yeah, when I was home from school sick, had a sick day or something, I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to eat some Campbell's chicken noodle soup. I'm going to watch some TV. Sally Jesse Raphael.
Daytime TV
Jenny
is the
Jones.
best.
Exactly.
Now, I remember hearing of this around the edges. I believe even one time, maybe in like a Goodwill or something, and saw the book.
Oh my God.
And my mom and someone who was with her, I don't recall, you know, started calling, oh, it's that book, you know, because this is supposedly an autobiographical. That word.
What is wrong with us? Why are we like,
I don't
we have
know.
such poor vocabulary
today. We don't, yeah, today we do. We sound like idiots today. But yeah, a book about her life. This is basically, you know, they're saying this is a true story of her account of the abuse. Right. And I'm going to assume it's crazy. Any stories about these satanic cults and stuff just instantly go to they're eating babies. They're, you know, draining their blood.
Yeah, there was one of the books that was popular during this time, and I cannot recall the title of it, but it was like a young woman, and she described how these cult members or whatever, like, took her baby and, like, made her sacrifice her baby and, like, drink its blood.
The stories just, shit. They just go, and a lot of times, every time, a lot of this is all proved to be fake, not true. But it's like they just instantly go like way over the top with it. I guess because it's made up, maybe. Or it's what they think a satanic cult would do. It's their imagination.
Well, you know, a lot of it was just the satanic panic of like, oh, people are worshiping the devil and they're doing all this stuff. But then there was also like the satanic ritual abuse that went along with that.
Right.
Which made it more of a sexual thing. Like these satanic ritual abuse types of things were involving like physical, sexual abuse of people in these satanic rituals. And then, of course, in the most extreme form, there were allegations that involve a conspiracy of a worldwide organization. So you got to think about like what, the Illuminati or something that includes the powerful, wealthy world elite in which children are abducted or bred for sacrifices, pornography, prostitution, that kind of thing. Which is pretty interesting because now if you come down to it, there's the whole Jeffrey Epstein arrest that's happened recently.
Look at that.
And then there was the whole Pizzagate thing.
Yes, and there was that thing in Nebraska. The Franklin Trust.
Yeah, the Franklin ring or whatever, which is fucking crazy story.
Hey, okay, that almost sends me off on a tangent when I think about this.
That's like a whole other story we could get into. But then you have like, of course, when Pizzagate was in the news, the Tom Podesta art collection. And what's so crazy about that is there's the one painting of the little girls in the swimming pool that looks very similar to the Biltmore House's swimming pool. And then, of course, there's talk that George Vanderbilt was part of the like Illuminati and participated in these abuses of girls and satanic shit dating back into like the 1800s.
I've never looked at the Podesta paintings.
Well, they're fucked up art. I think some of it's kind of cool. I could see where people would be like, oh my God, but they're probably the same.
Understand art.
Well, they're probably the same kind of people that go by the Thomas Kincaid art at Walmart.
Right, and that's
I
art.
mean, not to offend you if you have Thomas Kincaid in your house, but you know, it's not exactly high art.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I go to any gallery, I see something I don't understand. I'm like, oh, what the hell is that supposed to be?
I mean, art's supposed to spark discussion and make you think.
But yeah, so I did not know that about Podesta.
Yeah.
I knew there was a whole thing there. I've just never dug into that very story because at the time...
here we've moved away from the 80s and 90s having the Satanic Panic thing, but that idea of this powerful world elite group that are having sex with children, that are making these sacrifices, that there's some sort of like Illuminati type of organization responsible. And then it starts to come out that Jeffrey Epstein was essentially trafficking and doing all this shit with young girls. And then you've got all these really high profile people who are buddies with him. And I don't know, makes you think. But that's a conspiracy for another time. Let's get back to our Satanic Panic stuff.
All I'll say is thousands of kids go missing to never be seen again. their bodies ever found, and I'm not talking a few, thousands every year,